Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Limited Lorcana. Today we're going to be doing another ARCHAZIA Island sealed. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Starting with a Maribel pack here. We actually got a legendary in this one. So again, I'm just going to keep going through the cards since it's still pretty early. And pre-releases haven't really gone out yet. I'm going to kind of go through the cards, explain them a little bit, and kind of talk about my reasons for picking things. And yeah, so Raja, 2-drop 3/3, Vanish, great card. We really like that. Pete, 1/2, when you play an action as a song, you may banish chosen item. Not really meaningful. It's just not really what we're wanting to do. 7 cost, out of order, banish chosen character. It's a little too expensive, but at the least part, it is inkable, so if you were forced to pick this at the end of a draft pack, you wouldn't feel too bad. 2 cost, an inkable spaghetti dinner. You have to exert it and pay 1 if you have 2 or more characters and play, gain 1 lore. It's just a really slow thing. I've talked about this before, but items just don't represent like a body on the board to quest or challenge with. So normally if you take an item or a location in Limited, it has to do its job really well. Toll House, 1/3. He's an alright card. Definitely better with supports. Razul, you need the Jafar to kind of make this guy do anything, and even then, just in Limited, banishing an item just isn't enough. Tweedledee, Tweedledum. 5 cost, 4/4. Whenever this character quests, you may return chosen damage character that a player's hand. Quest for 2. This can actually be a nice little way to stall, or to bounce one of your characters that has a meaningful enter the battlefield effect. Giant Cobra. This is a really, really good card. 3-drop, 4/4, Vanish. When you play this, you may choose and discard a card to gain 2 lore. Getting both Raja and Cobra is great. One thing I haven't talked too much about is like, what does my deck do best? And sometimes that can just be like, my deck has an insanely strong 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, and that's kind of what I want to do. Is I want to tempo out into these 4 cards that are really strong and win from there. But continue on, Emerald Coil, 3-drop uninkable. During your turn, whenever cards put in your inkwell, chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn. Just isn't good. It's uninkable, which is a very contested spot in Limited formats, and it doesn't establish a body, and it costs a little too much. 4-drop Kita, 3/3 with Ward. She has an exert ability. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one in your inkwell face down, exert, and the other one on top of your deck. This is a phenomenal card. Very happy to have gotten this. I will probably be, or this will definitely make my 40 cards. Even just being able to ramp from like turn 5, being able to ramp into 7 means that you kind of gain access to those cards like Mufasa. I want to say there's a, can't remember the name of it, but some of those 7 cost cards that are meaningful, and it's not a card that you're inking from your hand, right? Which is a really nice effect, and you're basically getting to go, this is the best card, and I want to be able to play this, so I get to put this back on top of my deck, and the other one, I don't really want this 1-drop, now he's ink. 2-drop Minnie Mouse, uninkable, 1/2. When you play a character, this character gets +1 quest this turn. Whenever this character quests just opposing character loses strength equal to this character's lore until the start of your next turn. I didn't realize this at first when I read this card because I was like, wow, she's really strong. She doesn't quest for anything default. So if you don't play a character for her every turn, she doesn't do anything. I think she's a little bit of a trap. 6-drop Mad Hatter, who is inkable, 3/5. Whenever a damaged character challenges another character, you may draw a card. Quest for 2. This is not too bad. It can be draw, like you can guarantee it some ways, but typically if you do, then it means you're taking an inefficient trade to put damage on something and then be able to hit with something else. It's a little expensive for what it does. I guess I should have talked about what I would probably kept out of that pack. So out of that last pack we had, I definitely would use the Raja, the Cobra, the Kita, and possibly the Toll House if we have enough support. But going into our next pack, I'm going to do a little less explaining and just a little bit more talking about like the key cards that I think would be good. So Elsa, 2-drop, 2/3. Whenever this character quests, you have a character named Anna. In play, you gain a lore. Even if her effect never triggers, a 2-drop for 2/3 is a good place to be. Cybug's an okay 2-drop. He gets strength based on other characters you have in play. Mariana Guzman, 3/4 for 3. this is a phenomenal card. It's just 3 drops that are 3/4 stat line is great. Freckles, this can be really good, especially if you get Thunderbolts to shift with. This Jafar is good with the Challenger. Fix-It Felix is an okay, like, if you're kind of missing some of the top end. 5-drop 4/4, that quest for 2 is good. His effect is irrelevant. Diablo, 2-drop 1/2, Evasive Challenger +2. Love this card. Very, very good. This Mickey, unless you have support, I just don't see him being worth it. He's uninkable, and yeah, like if you're able to get a character for free, like you play a 6-drop or a 5-drop, it's really nice. But most of the time your opponent's just not going to quest, and he's just a 1-quester. So if they just end up going wide and then questing all for it at the end, or just have characters that have higher health and you just can't really make the math work, then you just kind of end up getting stuck. This Yokai is really good. This 2-drop 1/2, you may pay 1 less to shift or to play characters using their shift abilities. This is really good for the Baymax that's in the set, which is a 4-drop uninkable 5/5. Universal shift 4 5/5. If you play Yokai on turn 2, it actually allows you to shift the Baymax on turn 3, which you kind of justify taking worse 1-drops then, because it's a body for Baymax. But again, this Mad Hatter, a little too expensive, but, you know, would be cool to get it in person because it's a foil. And I do like the foiling for this next set. Going into our next pack, we got a Thunderbolt, which is nice because we did get a Freckles the puppy. We have Jasmine, 5-drop uninkable 3/5. Under this character quest, you have no cards in hand, draw a card for each ally you have in play. This is actually pretty meaningful. There's a lot of allies in the sets. Raya, 3-drop 1/4. During your turn of this character, just put in your inkwell, or whatever a card's put in your inkwell, this character gains resist 1. This is a little mid. It's definitely better if you have more support, but also if you have a lot of high questers, then this card can also do some stuff, right? She makes it difficult to take her out, because if you ink the player, then she's got the resist. So she's actually not bad. The Hera, 3-drop 3/3, which 3-drop 3/3 is fine for stats. Whenever you play a Floodborn character on this card, draw a card. You have to have the shift for it to really be relevant, but you can also shift the Baymax on this. Queen of Hearts, 2-drop 1/4. When this character is damaged, she gets +3. She's pretty good. Orville, 4/3. During your turn, while you have a character named Miss Bianca or Bernard in play, he gains evasive. 3-drop 4/3 is a good spot to be. It's just like this Kashim, right? But now my Kashim also has words on it. If you get a Bianca, this is definitely better, but we've already got the Jasmine, so there's a little bit of synergy with allies anyway. So this isn't bad. This Kashim's all right, and this Thomas O'Malley's okay as well. 4/2 with Ward. There's not that many ways to interact with opponents' cards anyway, but the Ward is just a nice little bit on top. Going into our next pack, our rares don't seem to be super great. Beast, 6-drop uninkable 5/5. You can exert him and pay 2 ink, banish 2 items, deal 5 damage to chosen character. This is a little bit of a trap. It's just you have to take way too long to play those 2 items, and then you have to play this guy. He sits in your hand, he's uninkable, and then you also have to then banish those 2 items, and you get to do it once and deal 5 damage. I would rather just the card be 4-drop uninkable, deal 5 damage, right? Which is basically a long game Zeus. So the body's just not worth it. Especially because you have to exert them, right? Like, you're already paying 2, and you paid for the items. Just not great for limited. 4-drop Clarabelle, 3/3 support. Your other characters with support get +1 strength. She's not bad, right? Support is a really good ability. She's a little bit overpriced for her stats, but it's because she also buffs other supports. I would definitely probably end up taking this card. It's a good card to make the 40. Cogsworth, he's a 3-drop for 3/3. You're not going to really have an item for him, so the effect doesn't matter, but just a 3/3 for 3 is fine. Queen of Heart, again, is nice. Calhoun, we've kind of talked about this, the 3-drop 2/4. The problem is having to discard a card. Losing card advantage hurts, so this is probably not what you want to do, but it can make a big swing in the game. Elsa's another good 2-drop. TikTok's a great 5-drop. He's got evasive if you have another pirate in play. Mufasa is a good 4-drop 4/4, and it opens up the big shift line if we get the big Mufasa. That's about it for notable things. This Maribel is not very good unless you get like the synergy package for it. This Medusa is just not super great. And the grunge, the 2-drop 2/2, we've just have so many 2-drop 2/3s that are really good that we don't really need that. Got another hero. This Yzma is not super great. When this character is banished, you have more cards in your hand than each opponent. You may return this card to your hand 2/1. She's got a little bit of a recursion, but she doesn't quest for 2. She's not really doing anything special. So even if you get to bounce her, it just kind of feels like, okay, I'll just ink her now. Cogsworth is nice. 3-drop for 3, like we talked about. But if you can get the Baymax shift, I definitely think this is the better 3 over the Cogsworth. Susie, 4-drop 3/4, quest for 2 is good. We need some 2 questers, so this was a nice pickup. Another Freckles for the Thunderbolt shift. Razul, Troubadour, I don't think either of these are going to necessarily be super good for this format. Just, again, no real song synergy and no items that you really need to worry about banishing with Jafars. Moana, great card, 4-drop 4/3 evasive. When she challenges another character, another chosen character of yours gets +3 strength. It's like support, but a little different. It's like support through challenging instead of questing. Hades, 6-drop uninkable. When you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to chosen character yours to banish chosen character with 3 or less. If you don't have a lot of evasive answers, this can kind of be like your kind of, I'm reaching for whatever I can get to take care of evasion. It's uninkable, so it's going to sit in your hand, and this is going to be like something you're going to play very late. But there's a lot of synergy with having damaged characters, so I could see this Hades being pretty good if you have some of those payoffs, right? Like the 2-drop queens, and they're still sticking around, your opponent doesn't challenge them. Now you can kind of do the challenging, like you can put the damage on them to gain more strength while also taking out something that's problematic for you. So I like this Hades as maybe. It depends on how many uninkables you have. Kita, great card. Love it. I've already said that. Probably going to run both. Dr. Calico, great 4-drop. 3/4. While this character has no damage, he gains resist 2. This is actually kind of nutty. It almost makes him feel like he has 7 health. It almost feels like this is a 4-drop 3/7. That's a really, really crazy stat line. So definitely like the Calico. Going into our last one, we got a really nice big hit. We got Treasure Guardian, which we got 2 illusions in our first pack. So this is a nice thing to have. Robin Hood's a good pickup. It's a support. We got another Orville. We never got any Biancas. So again, he's an okay 3-drop. Not too mad. Smee, we just have lots of other 3-drops that do better things than him and are inkable. So, Cheshire Cat, 4/3 quest for 2. When you play this, you may deal 2 damage to chosen damage character. 5-drop for an execute's a little expensive, so I'd probably err off of that. Windy Darling, I think this was one of the cards I was trying to recall earlier when I was talking about the Kita for going to turn 7. Windy Darling, 5/7 evasive. When one of your characters is banished, you may remove all damage from chosen character. So the healing is not super relevant, just the fact that it's evasive and it quests for 2 isn't bad. It's a little expensive. I really normally wouldn't recommend this, but I think we might actually end up putting this in our deck. We didn't get any big Mufasas or anything like this, so this might be like a good curve topper to have one of. Baymax, 5-drop 3/5 support. When you play this character, look at top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Floodborn character card and put it in your hand. This is actually really good. We don't have any Floodborns that we really care about, but just this effect is actually really meaningful. Like, he's able to support, and then if you had other Baymaxes in your deck, they just exponentially become better. But that is going to be our sealed. So we're going to go through and cut cards. So as I've mentioned before, sealed is 72 cards total. You have to cut 32 cards. We're not going to take any of these actions. Not a big fan of any of these. We're not going to take any of these items. Not a fan of any of those. And then we're going to go through our 1-drops and see what else we're going to take. So I think we're going to take a Toll House. We're going to take a Pain. Gives us 2 1-drops. They're 1/3s. We have enough supports that I can justify it, but not the best 1-drops in our pool. We've got Cybugs, which are good. Diablo's good. Elsa's are great. Freckles. So we're actually not going to take any Cybugs because we're already going to be taking plenty of these other 2-drops. Not going to take this Mickey or this Minnie. We're going to take both these Queens, and we're going to take this Raja, and I don't think there's another 2-drop we're going to take. Yeah, even Yokai, we don't really have enough shift for us to justify him. So that's it for our 2-drops. Gives us 2 1-drops and let's see, 3, 4, 6, 8. 8 2-drops, a good spot to be. Going into our 3-drops now. Calhoun we don't really want. Cogsworth don't really want. Giant Cobra's good. Didn't get any of the shifts for this. Jafar's nice. Cash Kim, I'll run both of those. Run this Guzman. I will run both of these Orvilles, even though we didn't get a Miss Bianca. Run this Robin Hood. And that's going to be it for our 3-drops. So how many did we pick up? We took 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. Another pretty good spot to be. The curve is like, I would say, you're normally about 10% of your deck is going to be 1-drop, so around 4 cards. And then it really spikes. You want to make sure that you're hitting the 2-drops. So I would say 8 to 10 2-drops. You can even justify a little bit more depending on if you have a lot more 2-questers in that bracket. But I would say about 8 to 10 2-drops. Then 3-drops and 4-drops, it's still pretty high. Like I would say both of those are around 8. You want to really hit that 2, 3, 4 curve. 5, I would say it starts to go down again, right? And that 5-drop, you're probably hitting around 6. And then 7 plus, you're looking for probably between 0 and 4. I would normally say erring on the side closer to like 0. So I would say like 2 to 3. And then 8 plus, I would say you're not running it unless it's a shift. And if you are, it has to be inkable and maybe 1. So going into our 4-drops, Bolt's okay. We're going to take this Clarabelle, Calico, both of these Kitas for sure. Glad we got those. Moana, Mufasa, take the Susie. It's a 2-quester, Treasure Guardian for a payout for illusions. Go into our 5-drops. We're going to take Baymax. We're going to take this Jasmine. Gonna do a quick, sorry, I don't know what that was. A quick look to see how many allies we have. Let's see. We have a good amount of allies. I'm gonna take the Jasmine. We're gonna go Thunderbolt for sure because we've got 2 puppies to shift onto. TikTok, Tweedledee, Tweedledum. And then we will take a Hades and a Windy Darling. That will kind of cap out our late game. We're pretty responsible with the amount of uninkables we have. I think we have 2, maybe 3. No, it's just 2. So we can definitely afford to take more if we wanted them, but I don't think we do. We're going to take 2 heroes, gives us another 2 3-drops. I think we are going to take this Bolt. We've got the support synergy with Clarabelle. Also, just he's fine enough for stats. I think we're going to take this Fix It Felix because 5-drop 4/4 is all right. Let's see. I think we are going to take another 2 Cybugs. And I think we're going to take another 1-drop. We've got a good amount of support, so I hope this shows, not quite, doesn't show quite the deck that I've built, but yeah, that doesn't quite do what I was looking for. So, but I've kind of already talked about what the numbers are looking like and roughly what we're around. We're going to keep this Freckles and this Giant Cobra. This Giant Cobra is one of the best things our deck can do on turn 3, so I really don't want to get rid of it. And then also having this Freckles because of the potential to get the shift. I would also consider like Dr. Calico or Susie as both really good 4-drops that our deck does, but we really kind of want that Treasure Guardian for the payoff with Illusion. Didn't quite get there. We don't have a 1-drop, which is all right. We've got 3 2-drops, so we're definitely going to ink a 2-drop. I think we're going to ink this Elsa. Though we didn't get the Thunderbolt, though, I'm going to ink the Freckles, actually. And his effect is still meaningful, even without the Thunderbolt shift, but just he is far better with it. Okay, gonna ink another 2-drop. We're going to ink the Elsa, play this Diablo. He can quest safely, and also if he establishes an evasive, now we threaten him, he can't quest. This is my family. That is a turn that you really don't hate to see, right? He hasn't established anything on board, and now I'm going to be able to ink my Orville. I'm going to play this Giant Snake. Not going to use his effect. But I'm just kind of questing. I've established this board. I'm going into a 4-drop that's going to be Kita and a 5-drop. And once I play the Kita, I almost am not going to ink again. This Maribel is a little bit in trouble now because our Diablo actually threatens it. Gonna ink this Queen, play this Kita, and we're going to quest the Giant Cobra. He could have, I think it's called Double Trouble, where you do 1 damage to 2 targets, which would allow him to deal 1 damage to Diablo, 1 damage to Giant Cobra, and then take it out with Maribel. And in that case, Maribel would get to live, and my Jafar and my Diablo would be gone. I think I'm going to hold off on questing the Diablo just in case he does. Queen of Hearts. Doesn't look like we're getting a Double Trouble here. No, Elsa. All right. So we're in a pretty good spot to be. We're going to use Kita's effect to see what we got. So we're going to choose to put Elsa in our Inkwell, which means we have Treasure Guardian on top of our deck for our Giant Cobra next turn. We're going to... no, we're not going to ink. I want to just stay where I'm at. 4-drop, 4/4. Mufasa seems pretty good. We're going to have Diablo take out this Maribel. Even though he could still have the Double Trouble, at least now we get the uptrade because Maribel's gone, and we'll quest the Jafar. And pass. He can't poke into my Jafar with Queen of Hearts without her also being banished, so I don't mind. And Kita's also already exerted. Okay, let's see what we get. Ooh, Phantom Blot, so he's going to probably rush my Kita. Okay, took her out. But Kita, so not only did I get to put the best card back on top of my deck, I got free ink, and he lost 2 lore because he took 2 characters to swing into it. So I will take that trade all day. Play this Treasure Guardian. Gonna draw a card because we have an illusion. I will actually ink this Kashim and play this Queen of Hearts. Not going to go any higher. 6 is a good spot for us to be. If I draw like a Windy Darling, I can ink and play her, but 6 is probably where we're going to stick for ink. Going to actually have my Diablo take out this Queen of Heart just because she's a higher strength right now. And I'm really not too worried about an evasive because if he plays an evasive now, I can just outrace him, right? So I don't really need to have the answer for the evasion. I'm just going to outquest him. And we'll quest. Ooh, he has a Hades. Okay. Going into this turn, I think we're just going to play a Baymax. No Floodborn. I don't really care about the order. Going to have Queen swing into Greenwich to get her buffed up strength-wise. And then I'm actually just going to quest with both of these. If he wants to finish off my Queen with Greenwich, I'm okay with that. And if his Hades wants to trade in my Treasure Guardian again, I'm okay with it. Just his hand's pretty empty. And I'm pushing lore. Okay, we're going to play our TikTok. And we're going to go ahead and take out this Hades because it won't banish my Baymax. And now Baymax can also take care of Kita if need be. He's doing Kita's effect. So much to give. Give for Bodyguard. Cycle a card. Pain. I don't really need to. Yeah, I'm just going to play Tweedledee, Tweedledum. Challenge here. And I'm going to quest my Baymax. The reason I do that is Now, if he doesn't take out my Baymax, then I can opt to bounce it with Tweedledee, Tweedledum next turn and just replay it if I don't really want to spend that much ink. Or if I don't really want to use the cards in my hand. Which I'm actually just going to go wide here. I'm going to play my 2/3 drops. We're going to go ahead and challenge with my TikTok. And then we're just going to go ahead and quest for 3. And now it's just kind of over. We're just a little bit too far ahead. His hand's empty. We even have an answer for anything that he plays that's cost 3 or less. Yeah, another 1-drop. This is why you have to be careful how many low cards you have in your deck. He just all low cards. Go ahead and quest. I think we're going to 15, 16, 17. I think we're going to 17. And we will play the Hades and we'll pass on his effect. Okay. No, the Maribel. Alrighty, gonna just quest on out for the game. One thing, and I know I've talked about this a little bit in the past 2 videos, knowing what your deck has in it is also really beneficial. Knowing how many uninkables you have, knowing how many 1-drops and stuff you have, because it helps you when you're mulliganing to know this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm not looking for. And a really good example of that would be knowing that you have 6 1-drops and you don't have any in your hand and you really want to hit that 1, 2, 3 because you are aggressive and you already have the 2, 3, maybe you put back the other 5 cards, even though they could be okay, because you know that you have a good chance of getting one of these 1-drops and you really want them. Or knowing that you have 4 uninkables in the deck and you've seen 3, that you have a pretty good shot of playing, the next card on top of your deck is going to be inkable. So stuff like that can just help you improve it just in little increments. Being able to play the next card of your deck is inkable, right? Okay, I can ink this turn because I want to go to 7 for Wendy Darling next turn and I'll draw ink this turn. Helps, right? And if you don't know how many uninkables you have in your deck, you can kind of end up in an awkward situation where you're not really too sure if you're going to get ink or not. We're going to ink the Elsa here, and we're going to go ahead and play the Queen. I've got the Robin Hood next turn to weaponize her, or the Jafar if I need to. It's most likely going to be the Jafar, because I don't want to wait for this Baymax to be able to quest. And then we're going to go into this Kita. So we're going to ink this Mufasa, and play this Jafar. Give Challenger to my Queen, have her take out Baymax, and now I'm a 4-1, and if he wants to stop it, then he's also got to trade in his Dolores, so I'm just in a good spot because he'll most likely play a card and that's all he'll have. So he Giant Cobra'd and used the effect, which he used it to get rid of an inkable card that also cycles, so not the best use of that effect, but a lore is lore, I suppose. Gonna go ahead and ink. I think we're actually going to ink this Robin. I just don't have time for it. Play this Kita. And we're going to challenge with Jafar here. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Because now he's going to challenge with his Giant Cobra. I didn't quite work through that in my head. A little bit tired after work. I probably should have just passed there. Because he has such favorable trades backs into me. And basically said, well, if you've quested your Giant Cobra, I'll take the trade with my Queen, etc. But it's okay. So, unfortunately, now we're going to trade our Queen of Hearts into this. So he's kind of gotten a lot of value out of this. But we have such a high hand count that we're not hurting too bad. I'm going to use Kita's ability. I'm going to put the Diablo in the inkwell. We're going to play the Dr. Calico and ink this Freckles. And that way next turn we can go to Wendy Darling, inking this Tweedledee Tweedledum. Or probably inking this Fix-It Felix, actually. Ink this, fix it Felix. There's also an argument for not inking here and just kind of slow playing, but he's at 8 lore. We kind of have to play the let's catch up now game, not the let's catch up later. So we're going to go ahead and take this out with Dr. Calico for free. I do need to catch up in lore, but I am actually going to use Kita's ability one last time just to see if I can get something that quests for 2. Oh, I put the wrong card in the thing. I meant to put Toll House in, but it's okay. Return chosen item or location costs 2 or less, then that player draws a card. That's not super great. He could use it on his own stuff, though, so potentially has a little bit of bounce within his stuff. Play these. Go ahead and challenge Dr. Calico. And I could use Kita's effect again, but again, I would just be looking for... Wait. I thought I hit quest, but I guess I must not have hit quest. Put the Toll House in. Well, I wanted to quest her this turn. I didn't need to do her effect any further. Okay. We have a Baymax we have to take out now. Raja. Quest. Challenge. Actually. She quest for 2, she quest for 2. Yeah. Can't really leave him any of these 2 questers, so we're going to take them both out. And then quest for 3. Go to 7. Should be 8 if we didn't use the Kita's effect, but it's all right. Now with 2 1 questers, he's just not going to be quick enough. Yeah, we don't even need to kill his board. There's just nothing that's going to give him 7 lore with 5 ink. I suppose 8 lore actually after we bounce it, so this game will be over next turn. Chernabog. And an unfortunate card. You kind of have to already have more board presence when you play it. Because right now, when he plays it, I'm just going to exert whatever is already exerted. I keep hitting, I thought I hit Q, but I hit the wrong thing. I also didn't mean to choose Baymax as my thing to go in my graveyard, so that's a little unfortunate. Fortunately, we're going to have one more turn because of that misclick, so I'm sorry about that. Our deck doesn't have a lot of 2 questers. Maybe there's some 2 questers I didn't take that I definitely should have. I feel like that's the biggest thing that this is missing, is I needed to take more 2 questers, but I think I kind of did take them all. I didn't take any of the Mad Hatters, but they're much more expensive. Smee's not a 2 quester. Raya. I probably should take this Raya. I'm actually going to take out one of my Toll Houses. Yeah. Because that's currently the biggest problem here is I don't have enough 2 questers that are 4 cost and under. Yeah, I like that 1 change. I think that's not bad. Okay, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, but they're not really any of the stuff that we want to do. Oh, we do actually have the Robin Hood. Never mind, I take it all back. We are going to keep this. Yes, we're going to keep this because I'm going to probably use the Elsa's ink. Play this Pain. And then I can play this Queen next turn, and then I go into the Robin Hood to give me support, or I use the Jafar to immediately cash out with some value. I'm going to ink this, cash him, and quest this Pain, play this Queen. We'll pass there. He didn't play a turn 1. He does play a turn 2. It's Baymax. Which now we know that we're definitely going to be playing the Jafar. I kind of want to ramp into the Thunderbolt and then Tweedledee Tweedledum. I'm kind of on the pressure, so I don't really want to play the Moana. She only quests for 1. We kind of want to stick with these 2 questers, kind of just value them out. This we can take out with Queen of Hearts now, and she's a 4-1 for the remainder. And we get to go to his board's empty. We've got a Robin Hood coming up as our turn 4. It's not a bad spot to be. Going to ink the hero, play this, and then we're going to quest both of our characters that would actually trade into this. We're not going to quest the Pain right now. Doesn't make sense. He would give Perla the ability to 2-for-1 me. And this way I can keep the Robin Hood to support Pain to fight something potentially later. Okay, gonna ink one of these queens that they graciously bounced to our hand. And we're actually gonna play Thunderbolt Bodyguarded and just keep questing. We have the tempo right now, so we're in a good spot. And if he does challenge this Thunderbolt or put any damage into it, which I guess doesn't really make a ton of sense to do, then I would play Tweedledee Tweedledum, and hopefully next turn I can quest. Ooh, we got Ink Geyser casted. So this reduces how much ink that I have available. It gives me some cards back from my inkwell. Well, we're going to go ahead and put Moana right back in, and we're going to play these 2-1 questers, and we're just going to keep questing. We don't really have a reason to interact with his board, and I don't personally care if he banishes Thunderbolt now because we're going to be so far ahead, sitting at 15 lore. Yep. And that is going to be the game. I'm going to go ahead and quest out here. And that's the benefit of like having a good 1-2-3, like especially if it allows you to trade up with your 1-drops or 2-drops. But let's also talk about his hand, right? His hand is a complete brick, right? He had Ink Geyser, Restoring the Crown. 2 of these, which 6-drop uninkable, exert all opposing characters. Whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge this turn, gain 2 lore. This is not a bad card, but this is a card that if you run in your limited deck, you run at best 1 of. It's not a character. It does allow you to get the value of challenging, like to clear your opponent's board while also getting to gain the lore, and it's a little bit of a surprise, right? Because you exert all their characters, and if you're in a stalemate, this can really break that. However, you just can't run 2 of these. Your deck becomes exponentially worse because you have so many uninkable high drops that aren't even characters that require you to have a board. So the more of them you have, they actually work against each other because the one benefits from having a wide board. The second one is like, I have even less characters that I can play. The 6-drop Baloo, 5/4, your characters with 7 strength or more can't be dealt damage. It just isn't relevant in limited, right? Like, at best, there's maybe 1 character that you can realistically play after this to get that effect. You would have to support something and then make it challenge, and it wouldn't be able to take damage. Example would be like my Robin Hood could support my Tweedledee Tweedledum to get them to 7 damage, but we're kind of in fantasy land there, right? Like I'm taking all this effort to make that 1 card work. You just shouldn't run it, right? 6-drop uninkable. Gone to this 4-drop uninkable, 2/4. When you play this characters can exert to sing songs to the start of your next turn. Not very relevant and limited. Each player pays 2 more to play actions or items. This can affect your opponent with the cost 2 more to play actions, but still, it's just not good. It doesn't quest for more than 1, and it's only 2/4 stats, so it just doesn't fight, and the effects aren't super relevant and limited. So his hand was definitely a brick. But that is going to be it for today. I'm going to try and do at least 1 more video before Friday. I have an event this Friday that I'm going to be doing at a local game store where it's going to be sealed. Hopefully it goes really well. And if it does, or if it doesn't, I might post a little highlight and just talk about what I pulled in the event overall. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week. And again, best of luck with your pre-release and best of luck with your guys' pools. Thank you.